Hey folks, it's Rick from LaLa Farm. In the last video you saw my son, who I affectionately refer to as Little Rick. I'm Big Rick. He's like 4 inches taller than me, so he's not really little. He's actually a pretty big dude. But he gave you the kind of the process for tying off a fence run. So in this one we're going to do kind of the next step in our fence project, which is installing an H-brace. Let me kind of show you really quickly why we're doing this the way we are, because traditionally you would put your fence posts in, then you would install your H-braces, and then you would run the fence. That process works perfectly fine and is kind of the most reasonable process if you're putting fence on the outside of your posts. We're putting our fence on the inside of the post because we're building a buck pen. We want the animals to stay on the inside. If we put it on the outside, technically the only thing that would be holding the animals into this pasture would be the staples that are holding the fence onto the wooden posts. So because we run it on the inside, we have to pull through the corners on the inside. If we had an H-brace already installed in here, we'd have to be pulling through that H-brace. So because we're putting the fence on the inside to contain animals, we have to do each run separately. So we've got the longest run. It's a 500-foot run that you're looking at here. This is done. So now we're going to go to the next step, which is one of the sides. To do that, we start with installing the first H-brace. It's not a difficult process. It's not a difficult process at all, but it's an incredibly important process. By building H-braces on your corners, what you're doing is you're building all of the structural support that's going to support this entire fence from end to end terminates in these H-braces that are on the end. So each corner you see has 2 H-braces at a 90-degree angle. So that's what we're going to do in this video, is just build the very first H-brace. There's going to be another H-brace on the other end where the fence is going to terminate. We're going to start the pull on this end, meaning we're going to attach the fence here, and we're going to pull that direction. We'll cover that as we're doing this. Little Rick, actually quote-unquote Big Rick, is actually he's doing all the videotape. He's going to put all these things together to make them look good, because that ain't my gig. He's good at it. I'm not. So let's get to it. So we start by each one of these H-braces. They're held together with 3/8 inch stainless steel galvanized pins. Okay, the fence that we're running is a 48-inch 4x4 goat and sheep panel. So technically what I would do is I would come up 44 inches. So I'd subtract from the height of the fence. So we've got a little bit of dirt underneath us here. So there's 48 inches. I would come down 4 inches, but if you look at where this brace connects, we've already got a pin in here. So if I just drill a hole here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run dead into the pin that's already through this. So I'm going to drop down about another 1.5 inches or so. So I've got a mark here. So I'm going to mark this one about 42.5 inches. Now, I'm only going to mark one side of this fence. If I went and I marked both sides, then that's going to assume that the ground between these 2 posts is level. I don't know if it's level or not. The process that we use is we're going to drill this one right here, and we're only going to drill halfway through this fence, and then we're going to tap in a 3/8 inch pin. Then we're going to slide our support post onto that pin. We're going to cut it to fit between these 2 posts, and then we're going to level that support post. Once that support post is leveled, then we're going to drill all the way through the opposing post and into the support post, and then we're going to ram a pin all the way through both posts. So that makes sense. That's kind of a rough explanation, but it'll make sense as we get into it. So here we go. So now we're going to drill this. We're only going halfway through this post. This is about a 4 or 5 inch wooden post, and I've marked a little spot on here. This wears off, so I just mark it periodically. This is basically a little over half of the pin depth. It just gives me an idea on this drill bit how far to go in. So we're only going half the distance here. Now we got our hole that we drilled. We're going to tap this in to to its full depth. Should be about half the pin. And that's what's going to support this side to this post. Now we're going to take a measurement from post to post so that we can cut our post to length. Now these are 8-foot posts. I could easily make these 8 foot. I don't do that. I just kind of rough it somewhere between 7 and 8. That way I cut it and I know I got a good precise fit when I cut the post. That's going to be about 75 inches, about 74 and 7/8, about 74 and 7/8 will do. And then we're going to cut the post to that length. So we're going to measure this to 74 7/8, put as a mark. Now this is a handy dandy tool my family got me for Christmas. Go ahead and sneak up on that. Hold that. This is a handy dandy tool my family got me for Christmas. I'm a collector of tools, so this, you could do this with any kind of saw, as long as it'll cut all the way through. So this one's not going to go. This is a little bit bigger than 4 inches. This will cut a 4-inch 4x4 like butter. Now that we have our cross member cut to length, now we're going to put a hole in this. So use the same size drill bit. This is going to slide over the pin that we put into the upright post earlier. Make sure that this is level so that it's going in square. So now we have the pin that we installed. We have the hole drilled here, so this simply goes in to that hole. Now, because these are square, it's not going to line up. So at this point, what we do is we just hit it with a sledgehammer. All right, right there. One more tap in. All right, so now we're going to level this. Now that it's leveled, now we're going to take the same drill bit and we're going to drill all the way through this post and into this one and set another pin. Now if you look at this, what we're doing is we're going to drill through this, and into this board. So when this goes in, you want to make sure that this is as level as possible, because this pin's going to hold this whole structure together on this end. So you need to go down. So now that we've drilled all the way through this, we're going to take another pin. Now this one's going to go all the way in. So now we have a fully assembled H-brace. All right, so what you have here, this is an H-brace. That's all there is to it. So we've installed this member here. Now the next step, I'm not sure if Rick is going to do this in a separate video or not, but the next step is to begin putting on the strainers. The strainers are going to tie these structurally together with tension. Once the strainers in on both ends, or the H-braces and then the strainers are in on both ends, then we can attach the actual fence and begin pulling that. So that's it for this video.